Hello and welcome. This is Magic Bricks Now, India's first property channel. You're watching Property Hotline with me, Kavita Krishnan. Today we are answering all your tax queries related to real estate with Vinay Singh. Vinay is a legal and tax expert. Vinay, welcome to the show. Let's get started with an email query. Now, Sridhar has written in and he says that he wants to know if he can use capital gains from his sale proceeds to pay off a home or a land loan. Can he claim capital gains tax benefits on the same? Is that possible, Vinay? I know that you can reinvest the money to buy another property, but can you reinvest it to pay off your home loan?
No, unfortunately, you will not get any benefit so far as capital gains is concerned. But you could claim the loan repayments under Section 80C within the overall ceiling of 1.5 lakhs.
Okay. But even though the end use is same, you cannot claim capital gains benefits, you're saying?
No, not at all.
So in that case, it would be better off for him to use that money to actually reinvest that money directly in property instead of putting it in the home loan. That's how he can claim benefits.
Yes, absolutely. He can put it anywhere. But sometimes, people feel that I do not want to carry a liability. And if that is the thought, then fine, he can pay it back. But then it will have to be planned a little carefully because what are you going to do in terms of saving tax? So probably your index cost of acquisition, which anyway is available to you freely, that part you can use to pay off the loan, and the balance, of course, you will have to, utilize to try and reduce your tax liability.
Right. So Sridhar, essentially, you need to do what experts call a cost-benefit analysis of year. You'll need to figure out whether it makes more sense for you to use the money to pay off the loan or use that money as down payment on the property unless you've already bought the property, in which case it's a completely different story. We have another email query coming in now. Shiva has written in and says that he purchased an under construction property 3 years back. Now he'll get possession of the property this year. The builder is yet to deduct VAT and service tax on this. Now he wants to know how can he calculate VAT and service tax. He also wants to know if VAT and service tax can apply to under construction or to ready possession properties. Vinay, it's applicable to under construction, right?
Yes, it is applicable to under construction, and secondly, builder doesn't deduct. He will charge you VAT and service tax both. So the VAT rate typically is about 1% in the Maharashtra state. There's a composition rate. And service tax now from 1st June will be 3.75% for flats up to 2,000 square feet or costing less than 1 crore. And otherwise it will be 4.5%. So that is the complete response to Shiva.
Right. So if you are buying a flat that is post 1st of June, that is after today, if you are registering a flat, then you will need to pay 3.75% service tax on the flat. Remember, service tax rates have gone up, or and that will be 4.5% if that flat concerned, if the property is above 2,000 square feet or it costs over 1 crore rupees. So that is something that you need to keep in mind if you're going to make a property purchase soon. We have Hemant Israni who's called in from Mumbai. Hemant, how can we help you?
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Yes, Hemant, tell us what's your question?
So I'm currently registered to pay service tax as a professional, and my query is with reference to the service tax that is to be paid to the builder, right? So I have a property which I have bought recently in Mumbai, and my query is that can I claim the service tax paid to the builder as a deduction against the service tax that is due to be paid in my quarterly return?
So essentially you want to know whether you can take the service tax that you collect and you are also paying service tax, whether you can set it off, right?
That's right.
Vinay, is that possible?
Hemant, is this property that you have purchased a residential property or a commercial property?
This is a residential property.
Yeah, so see, since it's a residential property, it has no connection with your business. So on that count itself, you would not be able to do the set-off. Even if it was a commercial property, if you look at the SENVAT credit rules, this does not qualify as an input service. So either ways, whether it is residential or it is commercial, even if you're using it for your particular business, you'll not be able to claim the set-off, unfortunately.
Right. So essentially, you cannot set off your service tax just because you're collecting service tax as a self-employed professional for a service that you're rendering. Vinay, before we move on, this is something that a lot of callers, a lot of questions we get is on service tax and VAT as well. We know that we get a lot of deductions on payments that we make towards a home. Is there any deduction that is available for buyers when they are paying service tax and VAT?
No, unfortunately not, because VAT is a composition rate. So, there is nothing that you can claim there. And in the service tax rules and VAT credit rules, this particular amount that you are paying on your property is specifically not counted as an input service. So, since it is not there as an input thing, unfortunately, you will not be able to do anything.
Not an input, so we cannot claim.
Yes.
We cannot claim exemption on that on service tax or on VAT that you pay when you buy a home. So that is another thing that you need to keep in mind. Ramesh Chandran, I believe, has dialed in from Bengaluru.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. Problem with that question, problem with that phoner over there. Let's take an email question now. Pushpa P has written in. She wants to know how much VAT and service tax is deducted for an under construction property in Chennai. A lot of VAT and service tax questions coming in today, Vinay.
Well, first of all, as I said, it's not a deduction. I don't know why people are calling it a deduction. It is something over and above the purchase price which the builder is going to recover from you. So, service tax again is 3.75. We have discussed it. For flats up to 1,000 square feet or costing less than a crore. And beyond either of these limits are breached, then it is 4.5%. Presently, there is no VAT chargeable in Chennai. So that is one good thing.
Right. So essentially what buyers need to keep in mind is that the service tax is a central tax. It's levied by the central government, which is why it is uniform across the country. The VAT, meanwhile, is levied by the state government. So that will differ from state to state. So at present, post June 1, if you're buying property in any corner of the country, your service tax rates stand at 3.75% for property that costs less than 1 crore rupees and is under 2,000 square feet. If it is above that, then you need to pay 4.5%. We have another email query coming in now. Sunil Teli says that he bought a pre-launch property in Bengaluru. Now the builder, again, is charging both VAT and service tax. Is this payable, Sunil wants to know, on the guidance value of the property or on the current rate per square foot? I think, Vinay, you should just take this question and break down VAT and service tax for all our viewers, because we're getting so many of these questions today.
Well, as you put it rightly, VAT is a state government levy and the rate may vary from state to state. So, for example, Karnataka charges 5%, whereas we charge 1% and Tamil Nadu charges nothing. So, this is something which is a state level tax. And service tax, basically, the standard rate for service tax is 15% from 1st June 2016. However, you have an abatement. So that means that service tax is levied on 25% of the value of your property, let us say, provided it is not more than 2,000 square feet and doesn't cost more than a crore. And if it is more than 2,000 square feet or it crosses a crore and above, then your service tax is, the abatement is 70%. So you will be taxed on 30%, which means your rate moves to 4.5%. This is how you have to calculate the rates. So coming back to Sunil's question on what is that particular the rate of VAT and service tax chargeable? Well, both are chargeable and will be based upon your agreement value.
Okay, so service tax and VAT will be charged on your agreement value. That is the amount that you pay according to the agreement for buying that property. We have a caller on the line. Kareem has dialed in from Mumbai. Kareem, how can we help you?
Madam, I had bought one property flat in Vasai, and earlier that at that time that VAT is not there applicable, but it is under consideration. So I want to know that when the VAT is come on force.
When did VAT come into force?
6-7 years back, they had charged 1%. Builder has charged, but he has paid or not, I don't know.
Oh, so you have...
करीम ये बताइए, आपने 6 साल पहले वसई में फ्लैट खरीदा था, राइट?
हाँ, फ्लैट खरीदा, उस पे 1% इन लोगों ने वैट लिया.
ठीक है.
तो वैट कब से फोर्स हुआ है?
कब
बोला
से
कि
लागू
पहले
हुआ है
अंडर
वैट, आप ये
कंसिडरेशन।
जानना चाहते हैं?
हाँ, और दूसरा मैंने एक और लैंड खरीदा है वसई में ही, उस पे वैट एलिजिबल है या नहीं लैंड पे?
लैंड पर क्या वैट देना पड़ता है? बहुत ही बढ़िया सवाल है विनय। क्या लैंड पर भी इनको वैट देना पड़ेगा?
No, no. On land there will be no VAT, but the question is one of service tax. Also, see on land there is nothing. These are all when you start talking about a constructed property that it comes into play, because VAT is chargeable on the transfer of materials contained in the flat, and service tax is charged on the service element, which is the construction activity that takes place when the flat is being transferred.
Right. He also had a question about a flat that he bought around 6 to 7 years back in Vasai. Now he says that he is being charged a VAT on that as well. He wants to know, when did it actually come into force? When did the government start charging VAT? Does he need to pay for property that he bought 6 to 7 years back? This
See,
was
what
under
happened-
construction.
See, there was earlier a lot of confusion on this, and the government had a very high rate earlier from 2006. Then from April 2010, this composition scheme of 1% came into play. So since he's saying 1% has been charged, we presume that it must have been from after 1st April 2010. So if that particular tax has been deposited or not is not his concern, because the builder has charged him and he has paid the builder. Now the liability is upon the builder to go and deposit it. So I don't think Karim needs to concern himself with that angle of things. But if he wants to find out, he can always ask the builder to, show him the proof. Again, the problem being that the builder would have collected VAT from various people and made one consolidated payment.
Right.
So that figure again is of no help to him. I suggest that he shouldn't bother so long as he has a receipt from the builder that he has paid the builder.
They are charging from every people, but when it come into force, I want to know that.
1st April 2010, sir. Is the
1st
one
April
with the 1%
2010
rate.
से लागू हुआ था ये करीम। और विनय का कहना है कि अगर आपको मतलब बिल्डर जो है सभी खरीदारों से वैट और सर्विस टैक्स चार्ज करता है, और बिल्डर की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, उसकी जिम्मेदारी है कि वो ये जो टैक्स है वो सरकार को भरे। अगर आपने ये पैसे दे दिए हैं तो आपको ज़्यादा फिक्र करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। आपके पास रसीद तो होगा, राइट?
मैं वापस तो ले सकता हूँ ना
जी?
क्या वापस लेना चाहते हैं?
भाई जब 2010 के बाद लगा है तो उससे पहले की प्रॉपर्टी में उसको वापस करना चाहिए। दे हैव चीटेड द पीपल।
पर 2010 तक आपको पोजीशन मिल गया था ये प्रॉपर्टी का?
हाँ, वो तो 2-3 साल पहले ही मिल गया था, 2007 में मिल गया था।
So in that case, Vinay, he's not supposed to be paying VAT and service tax, right?
See, VAT earlier, as I told you, was a higher rate. This composition rate of 1% has come in from April 2010. Now, if it has been charged at 1%, the presumption is that it is April 2010. It cannot be possible that it was for an earlier period, but it was charged at 1%. So there seems to be some confusion. I suggest that if Karim wants a proper analysis, let him send us the data. We'll take a look at it.
राइट करीम, तो अगर आपने 2010 से पहले खरीदा है, वैट का जो रेट 2010 से पहले लागू होता था वो काफ़ी हाई था, उसे घटाकर कंसोलिडेट करके 1% का रेट सरकार ने लागू किया था 2010 से। तो विनय का कहना है कि अगर आप चाहे तो अपने कागजात हमें भेज दे, उसे एनालाइज करके हम आपको बता सकते हैं।
नो प्रॉब्लम।
Right? We have a question that's coming in on our website. Firoz Bojani has written in. He says he wants to sell his house that he bought in September 2013. Now he will use these proceeds to fund his new house. The cost of this new home is higher than the older one. He also plans to take a home loan of 8 lakh rupees to fund this house. Now he wants to know that since it amounts to short-term capital gains, he's selling this property before the 3-year deadline. Will he still need to pay tax because he is reinvesting it immediately in a home that is costing much more than the earlier house?
The problem here, Firoz, is that Section 54 of the Income Tax Act, which allows you to claim set-off in respect of reinvestment of capital gains in another house, comes into play only if your capital gains are long-term in nature. So since you purchased this in September 2013, if you purchase this in September 2013, I suggest that you wait for another 6 months, let it become, long-term capital gains, and then go ahead with this transaction. Because when it is short-term, you are not eligible for any benefit, and you will actually be taxed at, assuming you're in the highest bracket, you'll be taxed at 30% on these gains.
Right. Vinay, you're saying wait for another 6 months.
I mean till September, so that he completes 3 years, 36 months of holding.
So so he can wait till September and say in October he can go ahead and reinvest that money in the new house, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So you just have a couple of months more to go, and it makes much more sense for you to hold on rather than pay that the 30% tax that you would have to pay on short-term capital gains if you choose to reinvest that money right now in a new home. If you if you choose to sell that older home right now, so just hold on for another couple of months if possible. You'll save much more money that way. Raj Chopra has dialed in from Delhi. Raj, how can we help you?
Yeah, my question is, as per income tax law, if you have more than one residential unit, let's say if somebody has 5 residential units, whether they are flats or bungalows, he is given a choice to pick up one house for himself on which there is no income tax liability. But for the rest of them, whether they are rented out or they are lying vacant, I have to still pay income tax on it. Is that correct?
Well, yes, that is correct. Every year you have a choice. If you have multiple properties, you can choose any one that you will treat as a self-occupied property, and the other properties, even if they are not actually rented out, they are treated as deemed let-out properties.
But what is the rate of tax?
Yeah, so what happens there is that you have to take the a notional rental value. Supposing you were to rent it out, what is the amount of rent that you would have earned? So that is the calculation that will come into play.
The point is, if let's say the market rentable is 1 lakh of rupees per month. Now the tenant has gone away. I need about 2-3 months to refurbish it and to get a suitable tenant, and I lose about 4 months in it. And as long as I'm getting rent, I'm willing to pay everything. But then, if it is lying vacant, it is an additional liability, good for nothing. There's no point in having any profit.
Vinay, that's an interesting question. If he's not getting rental income, does he still pay tax?
Yes. Now, what happens in your case, in the example that you're giving me, that there is a rent for part of the year, and then there is a vacancy during which you are doing some refurbishing, and then you will again put it out on rent. Am I correct?
Yeah, Vinay, essentially that's what he's asking.
Yes.
If he takes 4 months to refurbish the flat.
Yes, so if that is the case, actually he is entitled to vacancy allowance, which means that he will not have to pay tax on the period that it is not rented out.
Okay, so Vinay, how does he go about showing this to tax authorities? What does he need to do?
No, he has to. It is just a deemed let out property. He will have to claim in the tax returns. He has to claim his vacancy allowance, saying that this was the period for which it was vacant. But it is a rented property and which it will continue to go on rent. So there are judgments also on this point that if it is vacant for some time, there is no issue. It is not tax is not to be paid on that.
So essentially, there in the tax return that you file, there is a place where you can claim vacancy allowance, or do you need to furnish any other papers, any other documents?
Not unless documents are asked for, which would happen only if there is a scrutiny. So in case the taxman picks him up for scrutiny, then he may be asked to justify or produce evidence to show that the person was not there and there was no rent being earned and it was actually vacant, not otherwise.
Right, Raj, if you're taking 4 months or 6 months to refurbish your home, you can claim vacancy allowance. Keep papers ready. If there is a scrutiny, you will have to show that you spend that time refurbishing your house. We have another question coming in on our website, www.mbnow.in. Mahadevan writes in and says his son took a loan and bought a flat in Bengaluru. Now Mahadevan is paying the EMIs on his son's behalf. The property though is in his son's name. Can Mahadevan get tax exemption on EMIs that he pays on his son's behalf? Property is in his son's name. Can he still claim deduction?
Well, as far as I can see, first of all, the claimant must be the owner of the property if you're claiming a deduction. Second thing is that anything that you are claiming as a tax deduction, it has to be paid from your taxable income. Now, here the problem is that the owner is the son, Mr. Mahadevan's son, And he is the only one who can actually claim the deductions under Section 24 or even 80C for interest and loan repayments respectively. And that too only if the payments are made from his income. So unfortunately, Mr. Mahadevan will not be able to claim either of these two deductions for the EMIs.
Right, so you need your name on the property agreement or the sale deed as the owner of the property. Also, the money for the EMIs has to go from your own bank account. That's the only way that you can actually go ahead and claim exemption for the interest and the principal repayments that you've been doing towards that home loan. That's all the time we have on today's episode of Property Hotline. Vinay Singh, thank you very much for joining in and answering all those questions. If you have any questions related to real estate, whether it's about buying, selling, or investing in property, legal queries, tax issues, like we answered today, or even home finance queries, you can reach us on IDs that are flashing on your screen. We'll get the country's top experts to answer each and every one of them. That's a promise. You can also reach me on the, you can also personally tweet to me. I'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned to Magic Bricks now.